Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Great to be with you. What a beautiful crowd this evening. I'm not supposed to be here tonight for two reasons. One is when we were jumping on that plane very early this morning, I have three children, my wife and my mother-in-law. We went to TSA. I gave the TSA all of the boarding passes. He checked them all. Everybody's going through the line. And then the TSA agent stopped me and said, "Where's your boarding pass?" The lady forgot to print my boarding pass when we checked in the morning. So they had to hold the plane, and we literally made it with maybe 60 seconds before they were going to shut the gate. So fortunately, somebody wanted me to be here tonight. The second reason why I'm not supposed to be with you is on a more serious note. You know, I won my primary in January 2014 by 44 votes. 44 votes. As the first Muslim ever elected in Virginia history to state or federal level, thank you. Where I was elected in Virginia is another part of the story. So I was elected in the Bible Belt of Virginia. So I don't know Florida very well, but I think, you know, if you go maybe north of, you go north of Orlando, just go north of here, right? You know, they all thought that our South Florida is northern Virginia. The D.C. metro area is a very diverse, wonderful, vibrant community. Logically, that's where we would have the more diversity. But the Roanoke Valley produced this young boy, and now I'm fortunate to be here with you this evening. You know, people ask me where I learned politics. I went to school for business. I don't have a political background. In fact, I got involved in politics. This is my third time running for office. I got involved because I hate most politicians. And I really hate the way most... Well, now I guess I hate myself, right? You know, we really grew up despising the way most politicians carried themselves. And so that's what propelled me to get involved in my first run, which I was the youngest congressional candidate in America, running with President Obama, then Senator Warner from Virginia. In the 2008 run, wasn't that a memorable year? I'm very fortunate to be a part of that on the federal ticket. So, where did I learn it? I learned it in a convenience store. You know, my parents always had the corner store in Roanoke. And people that came in, poor, rich, white, black, it didn't matter. You learned to relate to everyone that came through those doors. And so when someone asked me, I've never actually had formal training in politics, that's really where I learned most of my politics, is in that convenience store. Because politics is about people, it's about relationships. Oftentimes we think that these issues win elections. Boy, is that a misconception. People vote for the person. And if you haven't conveyed who you are to the people, then they're just going to default to party, or they're not going to show up at all, which most of the time is the case. So growing up in Roanoke, in that convenience store, when I was running, I won the primary, and then the day before the general election, mailers went out all across the city. And the mailers said, "Guess who's funding Sam's campaign?" I'm going to let you all guess who's funding Sam's campaign. Al-Qaeda sympathizers are funding Sam's campaign. So this is the Monday before the Tuesday election. Al-Qaeda's funding Sam's campaign. So my heart sunk for a moment because we've been waiting on this kind of vicious attack. You know, they called me everything else, liberal, Obama lover, tax and spend, all that good stuff. But now they wanted to make sure we froze the vote right before the Tuesday election. I didn't know what would happen. But what actually happened was we were flooded with phone calls. I can't believe I was running against a female candidate. I can't believe she would do that. This is way below the belt. And in a district where we are 60-40 Democrat, we significantly, because of that mailer, significantly outperformed President Obama. We won with over 70% of the vote because people said we reject the politics of fear in the Roanoke Valley. You know how I won? I knocked on thousands of doors. I went to many churches. I wouldn't have won my primary. I wouldn't have won my general election without the wonderful support of my Baptist churches. In Virginia, we have a lot of Baptist churches. And they were so supportive because they knew the struggle, the plight that we were going through. But I want to tell you specifically what really helped us win was data. Emerge is about data. Farouk just talked to you about that. We took our, I don't know if you all call it the van system here. The van? Yeah, I took the van and we diced and sliced that up as much as we could. And we used that data to find out high propensity, high turnout individuals that we could target. And I knocked on those targeted doors. When somebody would say yes, they'd get a handwritten thank you note from me. My hand almost fell off. So it was a combination of not only having a candidate and a campaign, I had a great staff, that put a lot of energy into it, but it was an evolution beyond just the candidate. It was what Emerge stands for, having that data, having mobilization, which was so important to building that broad coalition. So here's this young Muslim and Arab boy from Southwest Virginia trying to get elected in an electorate that really doesn't know much about diversity. Well, let me tell you the ultimate irony. A few weeks ago, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, our regional Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC, which as many of you know was started by Dr. Martin Luther King, contacted us and said, Sam, we'd like to give you one of our highest honors, the Drum Major for Justice Award. Wow. I'm very sorry to, brag about what we've accomplished in doing so, but it really is a powerful story, and some people would say that it is ironic. It is ironic that we've been able to make such inroads within the community. But, what does this actually mean? So someone was elected. What does that actually mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It significantly changes the conversation, not only in the community, but in the legislature itself. I am one of 140 in the Virginia General Assembly. And when you have a Muslim sitting there, many of them campaigning on a campaign of fear against the Al-Qaeda sympathizers that are going to come and get you in the middle of the night. And now all of a sudden there's this, one of them is just sitting right there in front of you. I mean, it's like when I walked onto the floor, I thought that they were just waiting for the horns to come out of my head. But you know what? My third grade teacher, she's an African-American woman. Her name is Dr. Marilyn Harmon. She said, you know what, Sam? You kill them with kindness. And that's exactly how we campaigned through my 3 campaigns. That's exactly what we did on the floor. When they wouldn't look at you or talk to you, like they did with some of the other peers. We just kept going and kept finding a way. Eventually, I'd go and ask them for words of wisdom. I would ask for their partnership on legislation that I knew they'd be supportive of. And you know what? I'm a Democrat in a very Republican legislature. And the deputy majority leader, Republican, of the House, in a public setting the other day said, "You know what, Sam? You're the nicest person in the General Assembly." Well, you know, that's nice and it makes your head big, makes you feel good. But what it really means is that we are defining ourselves as Muslims in an area where people don't really know much about us. And so most importantly, I want you to know, hey, I put on my pants the same way you do. I have 3 children. I'm here to help the people of the Commonwealth, the people of Virginia, just like you are. And that's been our struggle for the past year and a half, over my first couple of sessions. Unfortunately, we've been able to move some minds. Moving minds is what we're all here to do, what Emerge is here to do, and also here to organize. So when they wanted to pass a resolution, being in the room again, right? When they wanted to pass a resolution commending a masjid, a mosque in Virginia, there were a lot of people that didn't like that. So leadership came to me, and they, I guess because I'm the token Muslim, they said, okay, well, we've got one of you guys here now, we should get your feedback. Hey, nobody really wants to pass this on our side. Well, not nobody, but very few people are interested in passing it. But, you know, we don't want to disrespect all Muslims. I mean, it's not like Republicans hate Muslims. There's just some people that are hateful. We were able to broker a deal in a way, and this is the way we do things in the legislature. We were able to broker a deal there on the floor in a way that allowed us to vote for something, but it's what they call by a voice vote. In other words, nobody actually knows who voted yes or no. The speaker just says, shall the resolution pass? Aye. Some people say nay, and the speaker said resolution carries. So they said, we're going to carry the resolution, we're going to make sure it passes regardless of how many people say no, but we want to make sure that this mosque, which has been very active in the community, receives the respect that they deserve. And if you're not in the room, you can't change the conversation. That's what Emerge is doing, has done in Florida, is trying to do in Virginia now. And that's why we welcome Emerge and their data-driven strategies as we try to get more and more people involved. When you talk about 4% in Miramar, this is an opportunity. I was just mentioning to the gentleman over here, actually, the terrible American voting electorate, that actually is an opportunity for people of color to be involved because your voice disproportionately is heard. So if you choose to be involved by a gentleman, I mean, this is coming from somebody who won by 44 votes, you know, and I literally, just like Emerge can say, I get to go to every single group and say, you all elected me, right? Because every single church, social organization, doesn't matter. You all were single-handedly responsible for electing me, and I greatly appreciate that. But the reality is that we have an opportunity to mobilize, to organize, to be involved, not just as Muslims, as African Americans, as women, as Latinos. We have an opportunity for our voices to be truly heard. So, as a child of immigrants, I am really, truly living the American dream. Being in elected office, you know, there are many even developed nations that I would not have this opportunity to be able to serve the people and hopefully serve them with excellence. But as a person who was really never supposed to be elected, the person I ran against was the vice mayor of the city as well, who was the grandson of a governor, who was he's a very nice man, very wealthy, a great doctor. He had so many wonderful things, but we just out-organized him. We mobilized, we organized, and we shocked the system. And everybody was wondering for the past year, is he going to run against you again? We didn't know. And then our last fundraiser, guess who shows up? The vice mayor of the city shows up to my fundraiser to solidify the fact that hopefully we won't actually have a challenger on the Democratic side this year. So 3 things I'll quickly leave you with. The reason why we were elected and the reason why we do our best to serve people of the Commonwealth of Virginia with excellence. Number 1 is always, always stay positive. Have a positive message, a positive attitude. And when I mean stay positive, when I won the primary and the Democratic Party of Virginia tried to come in and tell me how to run my campaign, I said, I'll take your money, but you can step outside. Because the messaging by the Democrats and by the Republicans, the method is unacceptable. And it's unacceptable to millennials and to the majority of America. And if you don't believe me, you all just pointed out, the majority of America doesn't vote. Falls on deaf ears. And I believe a big part of that is because of the way we deliver our message. And it's not being mostly positive. It's being as positive as you can all of the time. If someone comes to you and they're telling you the truth 99% of the time, and 1% of the time they are lying, they are a liar. They're not a truth teller. So you must be consistent with your positive message, with your messaging, with your branding, because sometimes people don't understand the issues you're discussing. But the way we say it in Southwest Virginia, which is in the country, is they can smell a load of BS from a mile away. So number 1 was staying positive. Number 2 is a focus on service. And speaking with Muslim students and Muslims all around, how do we counter the fear? How do we counter these attitudes? You know, the old way of doing it was let's have a round table. Let's have a discussion. Let's bring people together and share thoughts. That's nice. But in Islam, we actually are not moving minds by talking about it. We are moving minds by acting. It is through public service, through your service, is how you move those minds. So if you want to have a conversation with someone about how Islam focuses on helping the community, about how Islam is a peaceful religion, about how Islam actually places your mother before your father, that's fine. Those are important conversations. But when you're in the soup kitchen, or you're providing assistance to a family that's in need, then people ask, wow, who's this guy? So remember, public service is how we're going to move the hearts and minds of people, not only throughout the United States of America, but throughout the world. And lastly, actually I'm not a very emotional person, but what I have found is a deep love for the people that I serve. And I think about it a lot. I love them with every ounce of my being because of the stories that they share with me, because of the struggles that they are going through. And that love, I can tell you, I feel it back from the people that I serve. So with those 3 things, your positive attitude, your focus on service, and then truly finding a way to love the people you are trying to help. Those are three things that have carried me this far. And I hope and pray that many of you out there, through Emerge and through many avenues, other avenues, through your mosque, through the synagogues, that you find a way to be able to serve the people with excellence, as I am so lucky to be able to do. Thank you so much.